You're standing in the appliance store right now, or maybe you're scrolling through pages online looking at washing machines that all seem to promise the same thing. Clean clothes, modern features, energy efficiency, and a price that fits somewhere in your budget. The salesperson is smiling, the reviews look decent enough, and you're ready to make a decision. But before you commit to spending anywhere from $600 to $2,000 on a machine that's supposed to make your life easier for the next decade, you need to know something that nobody in that store is going to tell you. Some of the features they're selling you as upgrades, as modern conveniences, as the future of laundry, are actually the exact things that are going to cause your washing machine to break down long before it should. And we're not talking about minor issues that you can fix with a quick call to a repair technician. We're talking about catastrophic failures that happen right around the 2-year mark, just conveniently after your warranty expires, that cost so much to repair you might as well buy a whole new machine. This isn't conspiracy theory talk or anti-technology paranoia. This is information coming directly from appliance repair technicians who see the same failures over and over again, from consumer protection agencies tracking warranty claims and breakdown patterns, and from engineering experts who understand why certain features create mechanical problems that are almost guaranteed to show up within 24 to 36 months of normal use. The washing machine industry has changed dramatically over the last decade or so, and not all of those changes have been good for consumers. Manufacturers are under enormous pressure to add new features, make machines more efficient, meet stricter environmental regulations, and keep prices competitive all at the same time. Something has to give in that equation, and what's giving is durability. The washing machines your parents or grandparents bought 20 or 30 years ago were simpler, heavier, built with fewer electronic parts and more mechanical parts that could actually be repaired when they broke. Those machines lasted 15 to 25 years on average with basic maintenance. But the machines being sold today, even from the same trusted brands, are loaded with complex electronics, lightweight materials, and features that sound impressive but introduce multiple new points of failure. And the average lifespan now is somewhere between 7 and 10 years if you're lucky, with many machines experiencing major problems well before that. So let's walk through the specific features you need to avoid, or at least approach with serious caution if you want a washing machine that's actually going to last. And as we go through these, understand that we're not saying every machine with these features will definitely fail. What we're saying is that these features dramatically increase your risk of early failure based on real-world data from thousands of repair cases. Some people get lucky, but the odds are not in your favor, and when you're spending this much money on an appliance, you deserve to know what those odds actually are. The first feature that sounds amazing but causes endless problems is the direct drive motor or hubless design that many manufacturers are pushing heavily right now. The traditional washing machine design uses a motor that connects to the drum through a belt and pulley system, kind of like how a car engine connects to the wheels. It's mechanical, it's simple, and it's been working reliably for decades. But starting about 10 or 15 years ago, manufacturers started introducing direct drive systems where the motor is attached directly to the back of the drum with no belt in between. The marketing pitch for this is compelling. No belt means no belt to wear out and replace. The motor is more efficient. The machine runs quieter. It sounds like pure upside, but here's what they don't tell you. That direct drive motor is now doing all the work directly, with no buffer system to absorb shock or distribute stress. And when you load your machine unevenly, which everyone does sometimes, or when you wash heavy items like blankets or towels, that motor takes a beating that it wasn't really designed to handle long term. Repair technicians report that direct drive motors fail at much higher rates than traditional belt drive systems, and when they fail, the replacement cost is brutal. A belt for a traditional machine costs maybe $20 and takes 15 minutes to replace. A direct drive motor assembly can cost $300 to $600 for the part alone, plus labor, and in many cases, the cost is so high that people just scrap the machine and buy new. Even worse, the direct drive design often means that when the motor fails, it can damage other components in the system because everything is connected so tightly together. You end up with a cascading failure that turns into a complete loss. LG and Samsung have been particularly aggressive in pushing direct drive technology, and while their high-end models sometimes hold up reasonably well, their mid-range and budget direct drive machines are showing up in repair shops at alarming rates, with motor failures between 18 months and 3 years of age. If you absolutely must have a direct drive machine, stick to the premium models and extend your warranty. But honestly, a traditional belt drive system is still more reliable and vastly cheaper to maintain. The second problematic feature is touchscreen control panels and overly complex electronic interfaces. Walk into any appliance showroom today and you'll see washing machines with displays that look like they belong on a smartphone. Full-color touchscreens, dozens of preset cycles, Wi-Fi connectivity so you can start your laundry from your phone, integration with smart home systems, and diagnostic modes that supposedly make troubleshooting easier. It all looks very impressive and futuristic. But every single electronic component you add to a washing machine is another thing that can and will break. especially in an environment where the machine is constantly vibrating, dealing with temperature changes and being exposed to moisture and humidity. And unlike mechanical parts that tend to wear out gradually and give you warning signs, electronic components often just fail suddenly and completely. The touchscreen panels are especially problematic because they're expensive to replace. They're often proprietary to specific models, which means you can't just swap in a generic part. And they're vulnerable to moisture damage even though they're supposedly sealed. Repair techs see these control boards fail constantly, sometimes from actual moisture getting in, sometimes from the vibration of the machine gradually loosening connections, and sometimes from power surges or electrical issues that the machine's protection circuits don't adequately guard against. When one of these control boards dies, you're looking at $200 to $400 for the replacement part, assuming it's even available, because manufacturers often discontinue parts for older models frustratingly quickly. And here's the really annoying part. When the control board fails, nothing works. Your washing machine becomes a very expensive paperweight until you get it fixed. With older mechanical dial controls, even if the timer mechanism broke, you could often manually advance it or work around the problem temporarily. With these electronic systems, there's no workaround. It's dead until it's repaired. On top of the reliability issues, these complex control systems also create the software problems we mentioned earlier. The washing machine has firmware that can have bugs, that needs updates, that can glitch out and cause bizarre behavior like starting cycles randomly or refusing to unlock the door. Some manufacturers have released machines with firmware bugs that cause them to destroy clothes or fail to drain properly, and fixing these issues required service visits and software patches. This is absolutely ridiculous for a washing machine. You should not need to debug software on an appliance that washes your clothes. If you're shopping for a washing machine, look for models with simple, straightforward controls. Mechanical dials and basic push buttons are not flashy, but they're reliable and they're cheap to fix when they do eventually wear out. You don't need 47 different wash cycles. You need maybe 5 or 6 that actually work consistently, and you need controls that are still going to function 10 years from now. The third feature to avoid is the automatic detergent dispensing systems that have become increasingly popular. These systems have a reservoir that holds liquid detergent and fabric softener, and the machine automatically dispenses the right amount for each load based on sensors that supposedly detect how dirty your clothes are and how much water is being used. In theory, this saves you from having to measure and pour detergent every time, and it prevents you from using too much detergent, which can leave residue on clothes and inside the machine. In practice, these dispensing systems are maintenance nightmares that clog up, grow mold and mildew, corrode from the chemicals in detergent, and fail to dispense properly, leaving you with clothes that didn't get cleaned or with detergent buildup that ruins loads. The problem is that detergent is thick and sticky, especially the concentrated formulas that most people use now, and when it sits in these dispensing reservoirs and tubes for days or weeks between fills, it starts to solidify and create blockages. The sensors that measure how much to dispense get gunked up and stop working accurately. The pumps that move the detergent from the reservoir to the wash drum are small and weak, and they burn out from trying to push through the sludge. And cleaning these systems properly requires disassembling parts of the machine that weren't really designed for regular user maintenance. The manufacturer instructions usually say something vague like, clean the dispenser regularly, but they don't tell you that actually doing this thoroughly requires tools and effort that most people aren't going to bother with. So the system slowly degrades, starts working poorly, and eventually fails completely. On top of the mechanical problems, these automatic dispensers are another expensive electronic component to replace when they die. And because they're integrated into the machine's overall control system, a failure in the dispenser can sometimes cause error codes that prevent the whole machine from operating, even though the actual washing mechanism is fine. Repair technicians report that they spend a huge amount of time dealing with dispenser-related service calls, and in many cases, the fix is to simply bypass the automatic system and go back to manually adding detergent, which is what you should have been doing in the first place. If a washing machine has this feature and you really want that particular model for other reasons, just don't use the automatic dispenser. Fill it with water so the machine doesn't throw errors, and add your detergent directly to the drum the old-fashioned way. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches and potential repair bills. The fourth problematic feature is the steam cleaning, or steam refresh function, that's being marketed heavily on mid-range and premium machines. The idea is that the machine can inject steam into the drum to help remove wrinkles, sanitize clothes, or refresh items without doing a full wash cycle. It sounds useful, especially for things like dress shirts or clothes that need a quick touch-up between full washes. But implementing steam in a washing machine means adding a steam generator unit, additional plumbing to route the steam into the drum, sensors to control the steam temperature and timing, and seals to keep the steam where it's supposed to be. All of these components are additional failure points, and they're operating in a harsh environment with high heat, moisture, and vibration. The steam generators in particular are notorious for failing. They use heating elements that are similar to the ones in electric water heaters, and those elements scale up from minerals in the water, corrode, and burn out. When the steam generator fails, depending on the machine design, it can sometimes leak water into areas where it shouldn't be, potentially damaging other electronic components. The seals around the steam injection points can also fail, leading to steam escaping into the machine cabinet instead of going into the drum, which creates moisture problems that can rust metal parts and damage wiring. And here's the kicker. Most people who have machines with steam features barely use them, either because they forget the feature exists or because they try it once or twice and don't really see enough benefit to bother. So you're paying extra for a feature that increases your failure risk significantly, that adds to the repair costs when things go wrong, and that you probably won't even use regularly anyway. Unless you have a very specific need for steam functionality and you're willing to accept the reliability trade-off and pay for premium extended warranties, skip this feature. Don't let marketing convince you that you need technology that's actually working against your interests. The fifth feature to be very cautious about is the impeller or hub design in top loading machines, as opposed to traditional agitators. This is a big topic of debate in the appliance world because there are trade-offs here, but from a pure reliability standpoint, impeller machines have more problems than agitator machines. An agitator is that tall spindle in the middle of a traditional top loader that twists back and forth to move clothes through the water. It's simple, effective, and durable. An impeller is a low-profile disc or cone at the bottom of the drum that creates currents in the water to tumble clothes. Impeller machines are more efficient with water and energy. They give you more usable space in the drum, and they're generally gentler on fabrics. Those are real advantages. But the impeller mechanism is more complex than an agitator, and it's subjected to more stress because it's doing more work to move the same amount of clothes with less mechanical advantage. Repair data shows that impeller machines have higher rates of drive system failures, bearing failures, and transmission issues compared to agitator machines. The impeller assembly itself can crack or break, especially if users overload the machine, which is tempting to do because there's so much open space without an agitator in the way. And when these drive components fail in an impeller machine, the repairs are generally more expensive because you're dealing with more integrated parts. An agitator, if it breaks, can usually be replaced by itself fairly cheaply. An impeller failure often means you're replacing multiple connected components. There's also a cleaning performance issue that's relevant here. Impeller machines depend on having enough water in the drum to create the wash currents, but many modern impeller machines are also high-efficiency models that use very little water. That combination doesn't always work well, and users often find that their clothes don't come out as clean, or that the machine struggles with heavily soiled items. So people end up running extra cycles or using extra detergent to compensate, which increases wear on the machine and can create residue buildup problems. If you prefer a top loading machine and you want maximum reliability, stick with a traditional agitator model. Yes, you'll give up some capacity and efficiency, but you'll gain simplicity and durability that's likely to give you several extra years of service life. The sixth problem area is integrated or built-in dryers and combination washer-dryer units. These machines promise the ultimate convenience by handling both washing and drying in a single appliance, which is especially appealing if you have limited space or you're dealing with apartment living where you can't have separate machines. But combination units are trying to do two very different jobs in one chassis, and the engineering compromises required to make that work create significant reliability problems. The drying function in these machines is almost always ventless condensation drying, which means moisture from your clothes is condensed into water and drained away instead of being vented outside. That process requires a condenser unit, a heat pump or heating element, sensors to control the drying temperature and time, and a drainage system for the condensed water. All of these components are in addition to the regular washing machine components, and they're all potential failure points. Ventless dryers, in general, even standalone units, are known for being less reliable and more maintenance intensive than traditional vented dryers. They require regular cleaning of the condenser unit, which most users don't do properly or at all, leading to reduced performance and increased strain on components. The heat pump systems and combination units tend to fail within 3 to 5 years of regular use, requiring expensive repairs. And because everything is integrated into one unit, when something breaks, the entire appliance is out of commission. You can't wash while the dryer is being repaired. You're stuck waiting and probably making trips to a laundromat. On top of the reliability issues, combination washer dryers simply don't perform as well as separate machines. The drying capacity is usually about half of the washing capacity, which means you have to split large loads to dry them properly. Drying times are much longer than a conventional dryer, sometimes taking 3 or 4 hours for a load that would dry in 45 minutes in a regular machine. And the drying quality is often inconsistent, with some items coming out fully dry while others are still damp. So those are the major features that create reliability problems in modern washing machines. Direct drive motors, complex electronic controls, automatic detergent dispensers, steam functions, impeller designs, and combination washer-dryer units. Each of these features is being actively marketed as an improvement or upgrade, but each one also introduces complexity, additional components, and higher failure risk compared to simpler traditional designs. Now, does that mean you should only buy the absolute most basic washing machine with 0 features? Not necessarily, because there are some modern improvements that are genuinely worthwhile and don't significantly compromise reliability. Stainless steel drums instead of plastic or porcelain-coated metal are more durable and don't rust or chip. Improved suspension systems that reduce vibration and allow for higher spin speeds can be helpful. Better water level sensors that adjust usage based on load size save water without creating performance problems. And basic digital displays that show cycle progress and error codes are useful without being overly complex. The key is to look for machines that focus on doing the core job well with proven technology, rather than machines loaded with trendy features that sound impressive but create problems. And that means doing research beyond just reading the marketing materials and looking at the feature lists. Go to forums like Reddit's appliance repair communities and read what actual repair technicians say about which brands and models they see most often and what fails on them. Check consumer reports, not just for their initial testing scores, but for their reliability ratings based on subscriber surveys tracking real-world longevity. Look at warranty terms and what they actually cover, because manufacturers know which parts are likely to fail, and they often structure warranties to exclude coverage for those specific issues after the first year. And, if possible, buy from retailers that offer good return policies and reasonably priced extended warranty options. Because even with the best research, sometimes you end up with a lemon and you need a way to protect yourself. One more thing that's worth mentioning because it affects reliability regardless of which features the machine has is the importance of proper installation and maintenance. A washing machine that isn't level will vibrate excessively and wear out bearings and suspension components prematurely. A machine that's connected to water supply lines with excessive pressure can strain valves and seals. A machine that's used with the wrong type or too much detergent will build up residue that causes drainage problems and mechanical stress. And a machine that's never cleaned or maintained will accumulate mold, mildew, and mineral deposits that affect performance and component life. Even the most reliable washing machine in the world won't last if you're not taking basic care of it. So once you buy your machine, take the time to install it correctly or pay to have it professionally installed. Use the right type and amount of detergent for your machine and water conditions. Run cleaning cycles or manual cleaning procedures monthly. Leave the door open between uses to let moisture evaporate and prevent mold growth. And address small problems immediately instead of ignoring them until they become big, expensive problems. The bottom line is that washing machines have become more complicated and less reliable over the last decade or two. And certain features that manufacturers push heavily are actually making the problem worse rather than better. By avoiding the highest risk features, focusing on proven designs, and taking proper care of your machine, you can significantly improve your chances of getting a washer that actually lasts for 10 years or more instead of dying right around the 2 to 3 year mark. Don't let sales pressure or marketing hype push you into buying features you don't need, and that will cause you headaches later. Be smart, do your research, and choose reliability over flashiness. Your future self, standing in front of a broken washing machine with a repair estimate in hand, will thank you for making that choice today. If this guide helped you understand what to avoid when shopping for a washing machine, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next video where we'll be covering which specific brands and models actually are reliable and worth buying in 2025. Leave a comment below if you have questions about specific features or if you want to share your own washing machine horror stories. And remember, the best appliance is the one that still works 10 years from now, not the one with the flashiest feature list on day one. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your appliance shopping.